Assalamualaikum. Today me and my team want to present about manufacturing industry. Me is Nur Hafika binti Saim. My team is Awazimin bin Abdul Wahab, Faradina binti Muhammad Farid, Nur Ashikin binti Senin and Nur Hazira binti Harun. What is introduction for manufacturing industries? Industry that produce finished goods from raw materials using either manual labor or machines. And the manufacturing sectors create new products for converting items, resources or substantials. And the presentation are communication tools that can be used as lectures, reports and more. A risk management program purpose, depending on the individual, may be to limit injury to employees, customers or the surrounding public. Manufacturing industries growth and strategic positions, improve understanding the sources and coping mechanisms of financial risk in manufacturing listed corporation has substantial practical consequence for management, investors, creditors and other stakeholders.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Nur Ashikin. This name, I would like to present potential of risk. We have 6 element potential of risk. 1. Pure risk. 2. Speculative risk. 3. Fundamental risk. 4. Particular risk. 5. Financial value risk. And 6. Non-financial risk. Okay, 1 for pure risk. A risk is considered to be pure when it is beyond of human control, either ends in a loss or in no loss at all, and there is no opportunity for monetary benefit. Pure risks include things like fire burning, floods, and other natural disasters. Unforeseen occurrences such as of terrorism of untimely deaths are also considered to be in this category. And 2 for speculative risk. Speculative risk is a voluntary risk that may result in profit or loss. Speculative risks are manageable. Almost all financial investing activities are speculative since they are selected risks that might result in loss or gain. 3. Fundamental risk. Fundamental risks impact the whole society or large population. Natural disasters like earthquakes and storms, as well as inflation and conflict, are significant risks. Fundamental risk is really not insurable unlike static risk. 4. Particular risk. Particular risk, in a contrast to basic risk, refer to dangers that may impact an individual, such as a house fire that burns out a whole family belongings, the theft of a vehicle, or an armed robbery. A specific risk may be insured again. And 5. Financial value risk. The theft from warehouse is a severe problem since it may occur not only from outside parties but also and increasingly often from inside the warehouse itself by workers in the workplace. There are many different reasons why people steal. And last, for element potential of risk is a non-financial risk. Non-financial risk is often managed by one of demonstration project based on a particular legislation or needs and entrusted to field specialists. Principles concentrate on the formal standards and proof of acceptable control. They are frequently not entrenched in the business but outsourced to risk and compliance departments who have minimal business contact knowledge.
Okay, Assalamualaikum. My name is Faradina and I would like to explain a part of me is about the causes of fire risk. Okay, first, the causes of the fire risk. Okay, the first one is the fire due to hot work. Any work which produce spark where it may be a byproduct of manufacturing processes such as sparkling from grinding work or sparkling tip from welding work. Machinery and a vehicle may as well produce heat that may ignite combustible materials. Machinery and equipment are commonly brought into the factory of warehouse environment. This machine often have ventilation which must be maintained and are not obscured in any way. So the second one is a fire due and controlled environment. Flammable gases like LPG, air refrigerant, are common in areas where product and equipment are refrigerated and transported, making their storage and handling an active fire risk. Also, flammable chemical that cleaning product used to remove dust and debris can often be an equal or greater fire risk, and precaution should be taken to ensure that they do not come into contact with any live ignition sources. Storage in the chemical store should be considered as well. For example, storing an oxygen tank near flammable liquid or zinc powder near sulfate will risk greatly to cause a major fire and explosion. So the third one is the fire due to unreliable equipment. Faulty equipment like poorly maintained machinery and equipment can be prone to electrical fire and accumulation of debris. Then frictional heat and static like moving object and machinery can easily generate heat and static, which can cause debris and other neighboring object to catch. This is the particular risk in factory and distribution environment with conveyor belt. And the last one is inadequate work control. Fire is only happen with the presence of three elements: oxygen, ignition sources, or heat, and flammable material or fuel. At any time, if it's not possible to eliminate one of the three elements, one should at least control or to have a quick mitigation plan at workplace. For example, to have a standby fire extinguisher near a high-risk fire job, hanging a fire blanket around grinding workstation is also one good mitigation plan to avoid spark splattering elsewhere. Elsewhere. Having a good ventilation in the chemical storage will avoid heat build-up in the confined space, hence reduce the likelihood of the fires. Okay, next is causes of loss in company income risk. The first one is inadequate management. Okay, another common reason loss of a company is a lack of business acumen among the management team or business owner. In some instance, business owner is the only senior level person within a company, especially when a business is in its first years or two of operation. While the owner may have the skill necessary to create and sell a viable product or service, they often lack the attribute of a strong manager and don't have the time to successfully oversee other employees. Without a dedicated management team, a business owner has a greater potential to mismanage certain aspect of the business, whether it's be finance, hiring, or marketing. Okay, the second one is a fail to control cost. Profit is equal to total revenue minus total expenses. Even if a company is able to generate a large amount of revenue, the company might not achieve a profit if its costs are too high. Companies incur a variety of costs such as paying wage to employees, paying interest on business debt, the cost of materials and the part to produce good, and renting out office space and other business facilities. So overspending hinder a company ability to make profit and oftentimes lead them to bankruptcy. The third one is insufficient demand. Okay, every company must have demand for its product or service to sustain their success. If not many consumers want to buy a company product or services, it may not be able to earn enough revenue to cover its costs, hence earning the profit. Low demand can be caused by many factors such as offering product and services that consumers simply do not want, charging too much for product and a service, or setting up a business in a location without many potential consumer. The last one is ineffective business planning. Business owners who fail to address the needs of the business through a well laid out plan before operation begin are usually facing some serious challenge ahead. Similarly, a business that does not regularly review their initial business plan, or one that is not prepared to adapt to change in the market or industry, meet potentially insurmountable obstacles throughout its lifetime. Okay, next is the causes of inflation risk. Okay, the first one of causes of inflation risk is the demand pull inflation. That occurs when the demand for good exceeds to the supply. Therefore, this inflation has to do with the production of goods and services. When this happens, people are willing to pay more to get the product. Naturally, this will encourage companies to respond by pushing up price. The second one is a higher inflation expectation. Once inflation set in, is it hardly to control the repercussion from the event. For example, higher cost of living will cause workers to demand higher wage, which the causing a wage price period. Therefore, expectation of inflation are important. If people expect high inflation, it tends to be self-fulfilling. When expectations are low, temporary rise in price tend to be short-lived and fade away. The third one is the housing market. The housing market, for example, has seen is up and down over the years. If homes are in demand because the economy is experiencing an expansion, home price will rise. The demand also impact ancillary product and services that support the house industry. Construction product such as lumber and steel, as well as the nails and rivet used in a home, might all see increases in demands resulting from the highest demand for homes. The last one is managing the national debt. When the national debt skyrockets, the government has two main options. One is to raise taxes to make it debt payments. If it hikes corporate taxes, companies will likely shift the burden onto consumers through higher price. This is another scenario of cost push inflation. The government other option, of course, is to print more money as explained early. This can result in demand pull inflation. So if the government uses both approaches to tackle the national debt, it may affect both demand pull and cost push inflation. Okay, next are causes of insufficient or lack of employees risk. Okay, the first one is poor communication. Communication is a two-way street. You need to communicate with employees, but you also need to give opportunities for employees to voice out their opinion and concern, explain to them on your business, who, what, when, where, why, and how. If they know the business goal, they could better visualize how they will fit within the company. For instance, if you know downsizing is on the horizon, but you're afraid to tell your employees, rest assured they will find out. Rumors will spread and fear it will send it. it's much better to rationalize with them. Being unheard by management is a common reason employees don't feel engaged. It's important to create a psychological safe workplace for employees to vent their opinion, good, bad, or indifference, and knowledgeably that their feedback accepted professionally by the management. This may be managed with open door policy, human resources, or employee assistance program. Enable within your company a formal document uh, grievance policy to ensure all complaints are handled fairly and consistently. Describe the process in your employee handbook, complete with clear instruction of whom to contact with issue. So the second one is unhappy employees and high turnover. Employees are interested in performing their jobs well to advance the company, feel a sense of pride for a job well done, and a climb up to higher position. When there is not training, employees do not understand how to do their jobs, and none of these goals are possible. This leads to low morale among workers, which result in employees turnover. A company with a reputation of for the high employee turnover is also unattractive to potential job candidate. The third one is the lack of knowledge of industry, trend of policies. In our rapidly changing society, staying at the forefront of your industry in terms of knowledge is no longer just a nice to have. An organization that is the leader in its industry can drop in its ranking supply due to lack of training. By neglecting to educate your employees on trend, policies, and growth opportunities within the industry, your entire organization will miss out on key innovation within the industry. Company bringing the gap to upskill and reskill their staff is more nimble and competitive, allowing them to pivot and stay ahead of trend. The last one is ignoring achievement. So the one thing that can lead to distinct lack of employee motivation is the absence of praise or simple recognition for a job well done. It's not enough to know that you done your work well. It's vital that it's seen as such by your peer and managers. A good team leader will instinctively understand when to recognize achievement and give praise, and importantly, how much a plain or well done may have a significantly greater impact on one team member than on another. Okay, next, the causes of theft in the warehouse risk. Okay, the first one is a warehouse security camera. Security camera warehouse setup can be both a great deterrent to theft and a simple way to get strong evidence to pursue a case against them if they to steal something. Modern security camera system can collect high definition footage and upload it to an offsite server to make identification of thief easier and preserve the evidence if they try to tamper with the cameras or on-site recording station. The second one is a warehouse lighting. Lighting can be considered a vital part of warehouse security. Poorly lit warehouses not only provide protection for thieves, making them harder to identify, they can be a safety hazard for warehouse employees and security staff. So keeping warehouse facilities will lead is crucial safety measure, both to prevent theft and on-site accidents. The third one is the alarm system. Alarm system can be a crucial tool for deterring a theft attempt, minimizing the amount of goods stolen by a thief, and summoning security or police in time to stop thief from getting away. Knowing that an alarm keeps thief on a tight time limit, so they don't steal as much, or deterring them from the attempt. Getting an alert from the silent alarm help security and the police arrive on the scenes quickly, so this can be detained before they make off with valuable product. And the last one is security patrols. Does the warehouse have on-site security staff to help deter to help detect thief? Do they make the round to verify that they are not intruders lurking in a security camera blind spot? Having manual security patrol to police the premises can be a massive deterrent to casual thief and trespassers that minimize large-scale thief risks. Okay, the last part by me is the causes of loss or damage of good risk. Okay, the first one is the design flaw. Okay, one type of product defect is design flaw. When a product contains a flaw in the design, it can cause significant injury and harm. In some cases, a design flaw could signal that the manufacturer did not truly test their product before sale. It could also show that the manufacturer ignored the importance of product design integrity. Okay, the common example is product intended for children that contain choking hazard. The product like a helmet that crack or break from a small impact. The kitchenware are product prone to melting, unstable structures such as a table or chair that collapse, or mechanical defect on cars and a truck. So is that the common example of design flaw? So the second one is a manufacturing defect. A manufacturing defect is another type of product defect. When an error occurs during the manufacturing of a product, it can cause the dangerous defect. In these types of cases, only certain product may contain the defect. Many product liability lawsuits fall under this category. Unlike other types of injury claims, product liability claims are liability without fault. This means that a manufacturer does not have to act negligently sorry, or maliciously to have the court impose liability. Common example of manufacturing defect include incorrectly attached part or improperly installed electrical circuit, improperly manufactured plastic or materials, or incorrect ball or fasteners. Is that all common example of manufacturing defect? So the third one is the marketing defect. When a company fails to market its product with consumer safety in mind, this is considered as a marketing defect. Marketing defect can cause serious injury and even death. As a result, the manufacturer is strictly liable for the damage caused. So the common example of marketing defect include incorrect user instruction, false claims, fail to warn consumer of risk, advertisement encouraging improper use or improper warning label. So the product liability law can be complex. You need an experienced attorney on your side. Your lawyers will need to investigate the product and the types of product defect to build your case, showing that the product contain the defect take a considerable skill, time, and resources. Therefore, injured consumer should contact a product liability attorney as soon as possible. So, this all part of me about the causes of the fire risk. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. My name is Wazmin. Today I would like to talk about what are elements that inside the effect of risk. The first one, effects of fire. What are the effect of fire? Effect of fire is an accident while running a business, such as fires or explosion, can occur resulting in business being damaged or destroyed in a fire. Losses that resulting from a fire are known as direct business property damage. Second, there is downtime in the workplace. A fire can have huge consequences for a company's capacity to operate at all, let alone efficiency. Any downtime has a significant impact on income as well as the time spent reorganizing your operation, and both are tough to recover from. The third factor is brand recognition. A fire in a business may have a major influence on a company's reputation, and the consequences are not usually obvious right immediately. Finally, there are fire insurance claims. If a fire breaks out in a business and the fire safety regulation and the recommendation are not followed, the business insurance may be invalidated. What are effects of loss in company income? Number one is poor inventory management. Some business simply take inventory with paper and pen. Most restaurants or business throw out between 4 to 10% of their inventory product due to a poorly managed inventory system. Next, the paying of debt. Losses in restaurant or business can go a long way toward reducing ability to pay off monthly debt obligation as the net profit drop. Lower owner salary. To keep your business operating at full capacity, owner have to take a pay cut if net profit decline, and may find it difficult to pay personal debt and feed family. Owner have to make personal sacrifice. Risk opportunity management. Having a less cash will address various operational problems that may arise, such as equipment failure or damage to your physical location. Effect of inflation. Failure to anticipate a change in inflation presents a risk that the realized return on investment or the future values of an asset will be less than expected value and decline the purchasing power of money. Lower interest rate will happen if business invest in banking system, and the return of the investment will get declined. Inflation can destroy the net worth of a bond investor. The last one, banks are required to hold back amount of money because of less fund from the depositor. Effect of lack employee. Fraud, mispresent, misconduct will affect the image of the company and badly affect the organization as a whole. Lack of motivation will affect loss their unique and creativity in doing the job. The incompetent person is a loss to the company, as the company need to spend more to keep them competent person to doing the jobs. Low productivity employee will affect the company performance and effectiveness, as they are not interested with their job. Effect of theft in a warehouse risk. Losses from cargo theft and pilfering. Goods are most vulnerable to theft and pilferage when it transits. Current location cannot be tracked when the goods are lost from the storage or from the supply chain. Supply chain disruption. Disruption in supply chain have a dramatic impact on the basic flow of food from farm and producer to consumer, leading to empty shops. Stolen good posts are concerning happen when the stolen goods are put back to the supply chain, but we don't know about the status of the goods. Okay, for the last slide, effect of loss or damage of good risk. The first one is contain potentially harmful chemical, pesticide in the foods, spread of bacteria and health effect issues. Okay.
Okay, my name is Nur Hazira binti Arun, and now we will continue to risk metric. Okay. First, we look to the risk identification. For the potential, they have six risks that already stated in the table. First is poor risk. Second is speculative risk. Then fundamental risk, particular risk, financial value risk, and non-financial risk. If we can see on the table, so they have for the poor risk, we have fire risk. With the caution, we already state for three caution. First is due to hard work, due to uncontrolled environment, inadequate work control. Then the effect for the fire risk is direct business property damage, downtime in the workplace, brand recognition, fire insurance claims. For the speculative risk, we have loss in company income, that causes of inadequate management, failure to control costs, insufficient demand, ineffective business planning. The effect of poor inventory management, paying off debts, a lower owner salary, risk opportunity management. For the third one is inflation, demand pull inflation, higher inflation expectation, the housing market, managing the natural debt. That effect of slow loss in purchasing power of money, failing to anticipate a change in inflation, and future value of the asset at risk of being less than the expected value. For particular risk, we have insufficiency or lack of employees. That cause of 4, which is poor communication, unhappy employees and high turnover, lack of knowledge of industry trend and policies, and ignoring achievement. That affect fraud, mispresent, misconduct, affect the image of the company, lack of motivation, affect loss uniqueness and creativity in doing a job. The incompetent person in loss to the company, Low productivity employee affect the company performance and effectiveness. For the financial value risk, we have thief in a warehouse risk that consists of 4 warehouse security camera, warehouse lighting, alarm system, and security patrol that affect the the losses from cargo thief and pilfering. Current location cannot be traced and supply chain disruption. For the lastly is non-financial risk. We have a loss or damage of goods that causes a design flaw, a manufacturing defect, marketing defect that effect of contain potentially harmful chemical, pesticide in food, the spread of bacteria and health effect. Now, after we identify the risk and we already classified the risk in the aviation, that's if you can see on the table, R001 is represent for the risk number 1. So, we can say here, based on the table, for the fire, we have impact in the major 4. For loss in company income, also major 4. For inflation, moderate, which is 3. Insufficiency or lack of employees, major 4. Thief in a warehouse risk, moderate. And lastly, loss or damage of goods, major 4. So we can see here in the risk matrix, all the risks are categorized in not too higher risk, not in medium, but in the state in orange color. That means we need to take control and need to make regular regular what call regular um, observation. Okay. Like here we can see for likelihood, almost certain, likely, possible, unlikely, and rare. So that's mean for the manufacturing industry, we consider as a consequence in a moderate term. Okay, now we look to the suggestion and recommendation. Actually, it's a divide by 2, financial product and non-financial product. So we see the first one, financial product. The product of fire risk. Actually, they have more than this insurance that related to the fire risk, but I just categorized on the only 2 here, which is Ikhlas Fire Takaful and Zurich Fire Takaful Tarif. Okay. Ikhlas Fire Takaful is a protect the property against loss or damage by fire or lightning. Its cover include peril hazard like storm, tempest, flood, impact damage, bursting of water pipes. Not only cover the loss damage, is directly cover by natural disaster, like for example earthquake, volcanic eruption, and many more. Okay, for the Zurich Fire Takaful Tarif is cover financial loss by fire, lightning, and explosion, especially designed for business to complement their fire takaful certification. It covers the losses of gross profit due to reduction in turnover and increase the cost of a working consequence open interruption business. Okay. Next is the product of loss in company income rates. So, for the loss in company income rates, we can use the business interruption insurance, which is the insurance coverage that replaces income loss in the event that business in halt due to direct physical loss or damage. This also the policy is pays out only if the cost of the business income loss is covered in the underlying property or casualty policy. This business interruption insurance is caused by fire and natural disaster. It's cover operating expenses, move to the temporary location, payroll, tax, and loan payment too. It can apply if a civil authority shut down a business due to physical damage to nearby business that resulting uh, uh, loss for a fire. The amount payable is usually based on the past financial records of the business. Next is a product of inflation risk. We have insurance inflation protection. This is which the value of benefit increase by a predefined percentage at a specific time period to keep up with inflation, to allow policyholders to make sure that the benefits they receive can keep up with general price level, often linked to the CPI. Okay. Product of insufficiency or lack of employees rates. We have product liability insurance, which is transfer the risk of defects, including expenses related to product lawsuit and other claims related to faulty products. The product may be virtually any type of goods sold to consumer or businesses, from basic product like food and clothing to complex product like machine and medicine. Thief in a warehouse risk, we have electronic equipment insurance. That is insurance policy of ACPJ General Insurance aims that covering a range of electronic equipment from personal computer to high-tech gadgets. It also covers costs incurred for reconstruction and re-recording of information and external data media. Loss or damage of goods rates. We also can use the same like before. This is a product liability insurance, but this one is more to cover a manufacturer if a product manufactured also by the insured cause an injury or damage to a person or their property. Protect businesses against a number of possibilities. It covers manufacturers, marketers, suppliers, and traders who become liable to pay legal expenses for buyer losses, injuries, or property damage in case of buyer finding about defective or damaged goods. It provides protection at both sides, not only a one side. Okay. Just now we just look to the financial product, and this is some of a suggestion or recommendation for non-financial product in fire risk. Under Section 19 of the Safety, Health and Welfare at Work Act 2005, every employer shall identify hazards, assess risks, and have a written risk assessment, including any unusual or other risks. To comply with Section 19, employers are required to carry out risk assessment and to record this in a safety statement. A fire safety risk assessment should be conducted. That's include of three, which is a fire prevention, fire detection and warning, and lastly, emergency escape and firefighting. For loss in company income risk, they refer to the situation that which a person's source of money for expenses or lifestyle, such as salary from a job or income from a business, is terminated. This financial risk can be covered by insurance. If a person loses their job or their business goes bankrupt, and if either of these sources of income is their way of supporting themselves financially, then they have suffered a loss of income. Income protection insurance will provide for the policyholder financial needs when they are unable to work because of disability. For inflation risk, it consists of four suggestions. That number one is containing the impact of rising price inflation, which is as a price of energy, raw material, and other commodities rise. Manufacturer needs to find way to cushion the impact on cost of goods sold. Okay. Then second is the pricings. Some manufacturers clearly have more dynamic and agile cost structuring and pricing than others based on numerous factors. Additionally, each manufacturer needs to determine to what extent costs have to rise before trigger a price increase. Some will be able to hold down cost increase and in a 5% or it might be 10% to get the precise measurement on how input cost increase impact their PLN now and do stationary planning for possible future impact. Next is addressing labor cost and availability and stay close and transparent to customer. As a manufacturer, get to clearly idea on how input costs are affecting their margin. They will get a clear understanding of any price increase of their product and service that may need to pass through the customer. Insufficiency or lack of employees risk. Okay. Occupational safety and health, including compliance with the OSH requirement, pushes that national law and regulation is the responsibility and duty of the employer. The employer should show strong leadership and commitment to OSH activity in the organization and makes appropriate arrangement for the establishment of the OSH management system. So there's some example here, the policy, the organizing. So this is the cycle uh, to uh, for a company to get more efficient. Active in a warehouse risk, we have two here. This is conduct background check before hiring new warehouse staff. It is because when we we check on their background, we drastically decrease our chance of warehouse thieves. Check the criminal history of potential employees as well as check with previous employer to find out how long the person worked there and why they left. Next is educate employees about company policy on theft. Make sure all staff have a zero tolerance policies when it comes to the theft of crowd. Okay, lastly, for the non-financial product is a theft in a warehouse risk. This is still with theft immediately in line with company policy and maximize managerial visibility visibility in warehouse. deal the thief immediately in line with the company policy, and maximize materials visibility in a warehouse. For loss or damage of goods, I can identify it by two. We can be some suggestion on avoidance. By choosing to avoid a particular risk together, we can eliminate potential loss associated with the risk. Lastly is a prevention. Accepting that certain risks are unavoidable, you can implement preventative measures to reduce loss frequency. So that's all from me. Thank you.
The conclusions, manufacturing continues to be an important aspect of industry, not just to provide goods for marketplace, but also to drive the economy. As manufacturing processes continue to advance, so the skill required has also developed, with these trends set to continue in the future. Thank you.